Hey, I'm Jonathan. I like dogs, video games, art, and you know what? I love grunts. Oh, and I'm a 100% registered pro gamer.
Oh my god, I missed again. Oh, I hit it. I hit it. And I set fire to this brain. The longer the icon of sin stays on Earth, the stronger it will become. I've been lied to. What? I'm blind. Dude! You didn't see...
Alright, Stream of Conscience, Episode 1. What's the channel about? Well, the fact is, the media we take in affects us whether we like it or not. Now, that's not saying that just one episode of Cake Boss is taking me down a long and fruitful career as a baker, as much as I wish it could. Things are always much more subtle than that. Link in the description to an interesting Smithsonian article about the Godfather trilogy and the perception of Italian Americans in America. And yes, before anyone has to say anything in the comments, I get it. Every creative decision and almost everything put into TV, thrown into a PlayStation, or shown in a movie theater is to make money, okay? But I'm not here to criticize some business decisions. I'm here to look at art and what it does to us. Got it? That all good? If you're still here, it must be. So then, what's a grunt? Well, the term has origins in the U.S. military, but WeAreTheMighty.com and the first result on Urban Dictionary describe it as a term of affection for that tired, filthy, thirsty, hungry, footsore, ripped trouser, camouflage painted, lean, mean, son of a, rather not say, who has kept the wolf away from the door for over 200 years. But for our purposes, we can use the common gaming definition of just simple soldier, low-level minion. They can even be on your side. Well, if that's what they are, what are they doing? Well, the short answer is a lot. The long answer is a lot, but it depends on the genre. Like all good things, they've got variety. Sure, in an action game, they're quick to die, but in a horror game like Resident Evil 3, they'll take ages to kill. But they always share certain purposes throughout almost every genre. They have to be immediately threatening, and they're usually the first enemies we see, depending on the story. And they can define the core aesthetic of a group, the aesthetic being that look, what you see first and you associate with them, something that players will expect from them. Take the imps from the Doom reboot franchise as an example. With their pointed teeth, glowing eyes, and exposed muscles like some demented anatomy diagrams, features they share with most every other demon in the game, they're immediately threatening to the player, even though they die in just about one shotgun blast. Even though they're simple, the staple enemy of the Resident Evil franchise, the basic T-virus zombie, is a deadly effective design. They're just zombies, walking corpses. They skulk around, and they take ages to kill. But if you're a player going through one of these games just thinking it's a regular zombie game, you're in for a surprise of subversion when these guys literally think this is just some regular outbreak before a much more twisted enemy like the Licker or even Mr. X shows up. Subversion in media, when the audience's expectations are outright defied, can put the audience on edge and have them asking even more questions. These are two experiences that only the best horror can provide. One of my favorite examples of like an odd disconnect between the grunts and how they look versus like the actual final boss of an organization comes from the original Pokemon Red and Blue. In the game, you fight against Team Rocket. They're guys, they go around, and their entire MO is just stealing Pokemon. But the boss of the group is this guy in a suit, like, his name's Giovanni, and like, haha, we get it, Giovanni, he runs the Pokemon mob, he's Italian. It's funny. But it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because he's just a man in a suit. He can afford to be clean. He can afford to pay for all these people to go around and do his dirty work and run this entire criminal ring while still being a powerful figure, an actual gym leader within the Kanto region. Alright, hold on. Let's say we wanted to make some grunts of our own. Alright, how about we make an organization? Let's call them Shockwave. We'll have the enemies be human for this one. The first thing that usually goes into thinking about creating this kind of enemy, or really any kind of enemy, is what is called dehumanization. Basically trying to take away traits from someone or something that trigger human empathy. So if I wanted to dehumanize a real group of people, I would say they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, they're not sending the best people. But if I wanted to dehumanize a fictional character, it would take a few other things. A very interesting example would be the eyes. The human eyeballs are a huge source of communication, and eye contact displays intelligence and confidence and links to our empathy. All the time, games will take subtle choices to simply de-emphasize the eyes to the viewer and make us less likely to identify with these characters. Like, for example, the Uncharted franchise. A good portion of the enemies we face wear sunglasses or have light shading obscuring their faces thanks to headwear. And while I haven't played Fire Emblem, a friend recommended this example to me, a lot of these basic enemies have this intentional bit of shading over their eyeballs because the human eye is inherently drawn away from details within the shadow, thus drawing us away from their eyes, which would signify to us some sort of intelligence and some reason to empathize with them, because these are common father enemies. We're sending them out to die, usually, most of the time. We don't really care about these guys, from what I hear from my friends. So, it's very important. Let's pop a visor on this guy, definitely. And, as I said before, we're going to make sure that he puts through the aesthetic of this organization. For the world that this organization would take place in, let's go for a bit of a science fantasy, kind of a Star Wars-y vibe. And they're called Shockwave, so he probably should have like some shock gloves. Not too much shock power. He doesn't need to look too powerful. Grunts typically need to look antagonistic, but not necessarily too strong depending on your game. Past recording me is not the best of sketching on recording, I must say. But, maybe we should come back to this in a bit. I do love grunts, really, but they got some problems. We gotta talk about a couple concepts. I want to start this next part of the video off with a story. When I was researching getting all my sources together for this video, I actually came across this Assassin's Creed Odyssey forum. I don't play Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna be honest. But my eyes get drawn often to just stray posts. So this one post, this guy was complaining about feeling bad for killing female guards at this outpost. Because apparently the story was that Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the specific game in the forum, had added a lot more female basic guard enemies into the game. And I stopped for a moment, and I was like, wait a minute, wait, hold on. There are people, I get it, who don't like violent video games. I play Doom, I respect those people, I like to play violent video games. But you didn't feel bad for playing Assassin's Creed until Assassin's Creed added more female enemies. And it would have ended there, but then there were the replies where, like, there were a lot of these posters, men who said they were guys, who agreed and said they felt like dirtbags in that section of the game. Let's talk about male disposability. Male expendability, or male disposability, is the idea that society can better cope with the loss of a typical man than with the loss of a typical woman. We've heard examples of this before. Women chosen first off the sinking boat. Men, for the longest time, being the only ones in the draft, and still now, even though women can choose to serve in the military. And I admit, this is a huge problem. Now, back up, hold on. I don't think that this is finally feminist wreck linchpin. Let's go, boys. We got 'em. Because the draft doesn't happen every year, and it doesn't happen anymore. And a lot of the time, it's not just men who this happens to. Even though when in the boat sinking, it's women and children first, a lot of the time, especially with the military, it's vulnerable men, the poorest men of our society. ROTC programs exist in high schools. You can get recruited to start training for the military before you can drink and smoke. And it's been documented that recruiters will single out poor neighborhoods, white and black, to go for recruitment because they know poor people are trying to look for an outlet to get better opportunities, go to college, have things like healthcare, which is not guaranteed, especially in America, where a lot of people are going into the military and a lot of money is getting spent on the military. And this is not just a men's issue. This is an issue with class. We often see poor people as less worthwhile. Like, it's funny watching the news these days when I can see someone who I know, doesn't want to pay grocery store workers any more than they already have been, but they love their essential workers. They praise the essential workers. And I'm just thinking, most of these people can barely live decent lives, but now we care. It's a problem. But male disposability goes along with another concept that seems to stem from it, but also reinforce it. And how about we talk about the first female demon? In feminist theory, oh god, so spooky, the principle of male as norm holds that language referring to females, such as the suffix s, as an actress, the use of man to mean human, and other such devices strengthens the perceptions that the male category is the norm and that the corresponding female category is a derivation and thus less important. In Uncharted, you fight enemy treasure hunters and mercenaries, and most of the combat is just you mowing down their hired hands. And not a single basic enemy in the games is a woman. And I'm not asking for 50% parity. Like, I kind of get it, okay? Like, for example, I'm not going to tell anyone that Call of Duty Modern Warfare needs more female soldiers, okay? I'm not going to say that. But people become mercenaries for the same reason that people will choose to join the military and women join the military. It's because a lot of people see fighting for money as a better alternative than being poor. And a lot of women in this world are poor and are looking for opportunities. And this kind of just erases combat medics and medical professionals who were at least on the ground during a lot of war, especially in Vietnam. And a lot of women in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War, would drive male soldiers around, basically. So, like, even if, like, just, like, 10% of the enemies were just female mercenaries, maybe patching up and throwing back into battle the main enemies, like, I feel like a franchise where, like, the second game's villain, like, drinks Mayan juice and becomes Superman for, like, the final boss fight can have a few women shooting at Nathan Drake. StarCraft 2, a game that, okay, I'm honestly just not smart enough to actually play and get good gameplay for. I played, like, the campaign. At least has women. And, wait, am I getting a phone call? Yes? What? What? Okay, to be real, that wasn't a phone call, this is a segue. So, looking on the StarCraft wiki to make sure that I wasn't, just going off of a personal experience and I was like boom to the campaign, I found out that the multiplayer side of StarCraft 2, the part that matters, okay, has 2 female units. The thing is, the medic that I got to play with in the campaign that was on the ground backing up the Marines, who are all men, all the SCVs, the engineers are men, the tanks are men, the flamethrowers are men, are now relegated to medivac units, which means that both of the female units in a game set past the 26th century aren't even boots on the ground in combat. Even in the 70s, there were at least women standing on the ground waiting for men to come back and get healed. What is this? This is a sci-fi game, and I can't get this. And like, I was actually going to like levy some criticism against Doom Eternal in like this video, but I actually started laid off because I realized, you know what? It's okay that all the possessed soldiers are men. Like, it's an obvious homage to the original 2 games. Like, I get that. But that brings you back to the mythology of the original 2 games. Are you telling me that at a facility in the future, no woman got zombified? Like, talk about breaking immersion. Like, in StarCraft, they're in power armor suits. There's none of this like, well, don't you know that women have about a 60% average lower strength than men? You can't pull that there. New to Doom Eternal is Whiplash. This demon right here. This one. This is the first female demon in all of Doom canon. You wouldn't know that if you hadn't seen a removed PlayStation tweet, watched this documentary, link in the description, with one of the game's designers, or watched a video by someone that's making their next "Has X franchise gone woke?" video as I edit this. Well, my take on it is, it's good, because boys, we need more female demons. Okay, I'm getting it. It sounds counterintuitive, like really counterintuitive. But I think a world where male and female demons get their arms broken off and shoved into their eyeballs equally is a better one. Because the problem with male as norm, male as default, the term can flip back and forth, is that it kind of reinforces male disposability in a whole lot of other things. Because we should not be saying that men are the only ones worth getting their skulls stomped in. Like, maybe we shouldn't say anyone has their getting their skulls stomped in, but come on. I like video games. I'm not giving up Doom no matter what, okay? That's not going to happen. And we're kind of telling women that in a lot of these really good game franchises, that in a future of a world where women are the statistical majority of the planet, they just kind of don't exist unless they're like the main character. And while games like Fire Emblem, for example, have done a much better job of having like parity in these units, even though sometimes a lot of games can typecast women into the role of healer or support, which is a little annoying sometimes. I really feel like science fiction as a genre should be doing better than fantasy, especially when science fiction has so many roots in pushing forward on our society. Okay, side note, after like the first 5 minutes of like being, yes, Whiplash, every rocket launcher blast you take is a step towards gender equality, I realized something. The Doom developers could have just like said that, all of the demons we see are like, just male and female and we don't know the difference. Like, have you seen a crocodile? Like, listen, okay, I'm practically blind. I can't even tell the difference between a male and female dog half the time. Yo guys, Jonathan. Hope you enjoyed the video. I guess I might take suggestions. Comment if you want. This was fun. Really was. Really was fun. Had to get that StarCraft thing off my chest though. Really. That was just kind of dumb. I'm gonna make more of these, most definitely. And there's gotta be something I can say that'll be cool. Oh, that's right. What was the thing again? Oh, nothing is ever just entertainment. This was Stream of Conscience.